Here is Jake.
Jake.
Superhero question.
Oh, okay.
Would you take the super soldier serum?
Okay.
If there's a 99% chance you would be like Captain America, but a 1% chance you would end up like the Hulk. And he writes in parentheses, and no, not like the Hulk, the way Marvel ruined him. So you're basically playing the lottery, except the odds are on your side. 99% you become Captain America, which is good. But there's the 1% chance you become like the Hulk.
I don't like Lou Ferrigno Hulk, though.
Well, it doesn't have to be Lou Ferrigno.
Well, he said not Marvel Hulk.
Well, but it's the idea of the Hulk of you can't really always control when you're going to change. It usually happens when you get angry. You ruin a lot of things. It ruins your life. Would you do it?
Yeah. Those are low odds. I'll absolutely do that.
What is there? Is there a disadvantage to being Captain America? I mean, there'd be a lot of pressure on you. All of a sudden, the pressure, the ability for you to live an anonymous, quiet life is out the window if you become Captain America, because they're going to be calling on you to do a lot of things.
Do you have to use the powers, though? If you want to be anonymous, you could just be anonymous. Maybe you could use your powers in sneaky ways.
Here's the problem, though. Once you, let's say you do something like, I don't know,
stop a train from
derailing. Yeah. Very good. That once that goes viral, you no longer are anonymous.
That's true.
Because then everyone will be looking for you, and then it becomes a cat and mouse game of you're trying to stay in hiding while the rest of the world's looking for you because they've got to find out who this viral sensation is that stopped this train from derailing. Of course, it would be the other side saying it was all AI generated and it didn't actually happen. So maybe you would have an advantage.
So have you ever seen the movie Kick-Ass?
No.
The premise of Kick-Ass is this kid, he's a high schooler. He's like, how come no one's ever just tried being a superhero? He has no powers at all. He just dresses up in a costume. He tries to go after some muggers. He gets his ass beat.
Mm-hmm.
But then the result of that is he gets a bunch of like metal plates and stuff put into his body. So then he can't feel pain because he had nerve damage.
Sure.
Then he became an actual superhero. But because there was a hero, then that made people like, well, why can't there also be super villains? And then it just kind of became a whole endless cycle. So if you do become Captain America, I guess that could be the drawback of you could also open the door for bad versions of Captain America.
I don't want the responsibility as
with great power.
Yes, as Peter Parker's uncle once said,
Uncle Ben.
With great power comes great responsibility. I don't think I would be very responsible with it.
No?
I think my temper would get me into trouble, and then so basically the odds are 99% I would be the Hulk. Or I would be Captain America, but I would have the attitude of the Hulk, and that would cause great problems, and it would ruin my life. It would ruin my family's life. So I wouldn't even take the shot.
The good news is, if you end up using your powers for evil, who's going to stop you? You have superpowers.
Sure, but again, the whole world will be looking to you to save them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've paid attention to the state of the world. There's a lot of things that need saving.
There are a lot of things that need saving.
A lot of things that need saving. And then there's the whole politics thing. I mean, you know, if you're going to be Captain America, some people might be offended. Well, I can't be Captain World.
Well, you could. There's nothing stopping you from just making your own name. You could be John Man. Save me, John Man.
Speaking of John Man.
Oh.
Should we call the new John Cook Arena the John?
The John.
As you know, Bob Devaney Sports Center over the years has adopted the nickname the Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have the audio?
I do.
This was from the volleyball press conference earlier this week, and the internal debate Harper Murray has had when she finds out that there might be a nickname for the John Cook Arena.
I was honestly confused by that. I thought it's like staying Bob. It's the John Cook. Oh, like the gym. I don't think we're going to call it John. No. That sounds really weird. That sounds so funny.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we call the John Cook Arena the John?
Yes, but I've also been on a campaign for years to call Charles Schwab the Schwab, but everybody just keeps calling it the Chuck.
Well, Chuck's better than Schwab.
Yeah, but Schwab sounds funnier, and it feels a little more unique, you know?
Yeah, but it's easier to say Chuck.
Yeah, but Schwab. It's more fun to say Schwab. I'm going to catch a game at the Schwab. Welcome to the College World Series from the Schwab.
As one who, of course, has the name John, I like this idea. But I also like it because of the humor that will be involved.
Because it's also a nickname for toilet?
Bingo.
Yep. A lot of toilet humor.
In fact, I'm starting. If we're going to change the name of this place, I'm going to call it the John.
Let's go to the John, or it's something East Coasters use just to identify something they don't quite know the name of.
But I'll do it because I like my name, and I will think it's named after me.
What if they call it the John, but Jon? What if it evolves into the Jon?
No, his name was John. He spells his name the right way. Old man Doug populating his own inbox.
Oh, all right.
For the rest of your life, you can only eat foods with sugar, no salt, or only foods that have salt, no sugar. If you have to live the rest of your life either a sugar-free or a salt-free diet, which one are you taking?
I can do sugar-free. I can do that. I don't want to do salt-free because I like salt too much, but also I kind of cut back on sugar a lot as I've gotten older. Like the most sugar I get now is maybe a pop once a week and some Reese's. And I know that there's sugar in everything, but I also hate that about like a lot of, if you go to a restaurant or you order a pizza, a lot of those pizza sauces, they put sugar in them. Even Subway, they had that thing a few years ago too, where
they did.
It's like, oh, that's not bread. It has to be pastry because there's sugar in the bread. I'd be fine going sugar-free.
I have a notorious sweet tooth, so that makes this answer very odd for me, but there's something about sugar. Well, first off, if you have nothing but an all-sugar diet, you're going to end up being diabetic, so it's probably going to kill you. Now, you could say the same thing. You could have heart disease issues if you have an all-salt diet, but this is basically asking you to cut out one or the other, right?
It'd be hard to cut out salt. Salt is in everything. Wars have been fought over salt. Salt is everywhere.
Yeah, I would think from the practical standpoint, yes, it would be much easier to cut out sugar.
Now, do we want to get pedantic? What about natural sugars? Like if you get an apple, just pluck it from the tree, eat it. There's natural sugars in fruits.
Well, that wasn't part of the question. I'm guessing we would just go with processed sugars.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm got to cut that out anyway. That's
because I think it would be virtually impossible to avoid all sugars.
Right.
I suppose there's a way, maybe someone out there has done it, but I would think it was almost impossible because there are natural sugars, especially if you eat fruits. Now, maybe you cut fruit out from your diet. I don't know. I would choose salt over sugar.
Me too. Look at us, the agree boys, the salt boys.
I guess. Let's see. Jeff with an interesting question I had never pondered before. When does a visually impaired person know when to stop wiping?
Oh. I've never thought of that. Like,
this is why we call it dumb debates, kids.
It's hard to talk about this without getting weird or gross about it, so I'm just going to dive in. At some point, like, you can feel, right, depending, and you know while you're in the process what kind it's going to be. So I imagine it's mostly based off of feel.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
What other sense would you have?
Yeah. You smell.
Well, but
yeah,
unless you've done several courtesy flushes, the smell is there. And as they say, if you lose one sense, it tends to heighten the other active sense.
You also have to be careful because if you wipe too much, you run the risk of flooding the toilet. And then how does a visually impaired person plunge a toilet?
I think you're right, Nick. It is based on feel. It's just knowing, okay, it feels like it's right. That's when you probably use the You probably back it up with the shower.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do anyway. Like I'd give it a once over and then like, all right, shower time.
Matt, that was an interesting one.
Sure was.
Matt says, if you had a rifle and a camera and you saw Bigfoot and weren't in danger, would you shoot it or take a picture?
Hell no, I'm not going to shoot Bigfoot. I bet Bigfoot is super chill. Just wants to live off the grid. He doesn't want anything to do with anybody. I bet he has the most peaceful life, John. Bigfoot don't know about social media.
Here's my question. If your answer is you would still shoot it, why? If you're not in danger, how do you benefit from killing Bigfoot unless you plan to show him off as a trophy deer?
And unless you have the ability to taxidermy something yourself, you're going to have to get somebody else involved, and then it can turn into this weird bidding war over Bigfoot's corpse.
Well, the other part is, does Bigfoot have rights?
Yeah, that's true. It would turn into a whole thing.
I mean, the Constitution talks about the rights of men, but is Bigfoot a man?
I mean, he would have to be, right?
I mean, the easy answer is, of course, you take the picture. Now, you run the risk of someone seeing it and saying, oh, that's just, Photoshop. That's not actually real.
Well, the problem is everybody who's ever taken a picture of Bigfoot, it's always a blurry picture all the time. I bet even if you have a clear shot, it'll still be blurry.
Again, if I'm not in danger, I'm not going to kill something that is not a harm to me.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, anyway.
He's just chilling in nature. Doesn't have to pay taxes. Doesn't know about student loans.
Nate, listening in New Jersey.
Hello.
In its current state, what is more dysfunctional, the NCAA or the U.S. government?
So the NCAA doesn't affect society on a global scale. National,
but this
for sure.
is just asking what's more dysfunctional. It's not the impact it has, but just how it functions.
I think it matters, though, because when the U.S. government is dysfunctional, it reverberates across the entire known universe. But if the NCAA is dysfunctional,
I see what you're saying.
Doesn't really stretch as far as the borders.
I see what you're saying.
The country.
I mean, the answer is the NCAA.
Yeah.
Because you're right. If as much as we complain about our government, if it were truly dysfunctional, society would not function around the world. The NCAA is more dysfunctional. Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, the mafia is more organized than the NCAA, based on all the recent events.
Dave on YouTube says, isn't Bigfoot technically an endangered species, therefore making it a crime to shoot him or her? Bigfoot could be a woman.
Well, but
too.
Is it on the books?
I think an endangered species is endangered species.
Yeah, but you have to be on the endangered species list. Is Bigfoot on the endangered species list?
I think they could
One cannot be endangered until it is declared so.
I mean, I think it's safe to say Bigfoot is endangered if there's only one or two of them. Like surely we would have seen many big feet by now if they weren't endangered.
Maybe they all got the shot, to turn into Captain America, and they're all living in hiding, keeping their powers to themselves.
Oh.
According to the expert known as AI, Bigfoot is not considered an endangered species by mainstream scientific or conservation organizations.
Mainstream.
While some local jurisdictions like Skamania County, Washington, have laws protecting Bigfoot, these are typically based on local beliefs and not federal listings. So Bigfoot is not on the endangered species list because there is not evidence that one exists.
But the second you shot Bigfoot and presented it, then that would be evidence, and then I'm sure they could be retroactive about that.
No, I don't think, you can't process retroactively.
So if I'm in the Amazon rainforest and I see a lizard and I step on the lizard and I'm like, crap, I killed the one version of this lizard to ever exist, there'd be repercussions from that. There'd have to be.
Only if the lizard was an endangered species.
But I think...
And on the list.
I think just because something something being on a list doesn't make it endangered. There not being a lot of that thing is what makes it endangered.
But the law has to be defined as to, it's like the speed limit. You could be doing 85 miles an hour, but if there's not a posted speed limit, if the speed limit is posted, now you know what the speed limit is. You can't prosecute on something that has not been legally defined. And if one has not been legally defined as an endangered species, it would not be in violation of the Endangered Species Act.
So shooting Bigfoot is a loophole.
For the moment, yes. But again, I wouldn't shoot him. I would not shoot him. Let's see. Into the inbox. Here's a current events one.
Oh, fun.
From John. We can answer it. Josh isn't here. He wouldn't know what to say. Was the Sunday night WrestleMania main event the worst of all time?
I didn't actually watch it. Did John Cena win?
Yes, he did. He set the record. He is now the 17-time world heavyweight champion, beating the record of Ric Flair.
So I'm not fully caught up. He did a heel turn, right? Is John Cena?
He did a heel turn. I will give you a brief synopsis of what happened. So when he did the heel turn, the hip hop artist Travis Scott was involved and punched Cody Rhodes in the face.
Oh, okay.
He made an appearance in the main event and helped John Cena win.
Oh.
The Rock did not appear, even though the whole thing was centered around The Rock and selling Cody's soul. Didn't
they do the same thing last year with Cody, between Cody and who's the big guy?
Roman Reigns.
Isn't that basically the same story? Because Cody had Roman Reigns on the ropes, and then
no, not entirely, though. There's not a whole lot of original ideas in wrestling anymore. Back to the main question: was it the worst WrestleMania main event of all time? No, it was not the worst WrestleMania main event of all time. The last WrestleMania in Las Vegas had a worse main event.
What happened there?
Bret Hart lost to Yokozuna, and then Hulk Hogan came in, and Yokozuna challenged him for the title after he had won the title, and Hulk Hogan won the title. Surprisingly so. That was a bad main event.
That was the last time they were in LA?
In Las Vegas, yes.
Or Vegas? Wow.
Yeah. Also a correct answer is any main event that featured the Ultimate Warrior, the worst wrestler of all time.
I didn't know you didn't like the Ultimate Warrior.
He sucked.
Wow.
So, no, I agree, John, this was a bad main event, but this wasn't the worst main event of all time. There you go. Dumb debates.
Dumb debates.